Hey y'all, Big Tim here. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Old School and Bass with Big Tim. Today we're going to talk about individual accomplishment tournaments. These are like what you'd find in the Costa Series or the BFL Series, which are both affiliated with FLW, the Bass Nation, or the Bass Federation. So one of the things about these tournaments is they are, at least here in the state of Kentucky, the Bass Nation and the Bass Federation, but all four of these in the state of Kentucky are ran on the angler coangler format. There's a lot of cool things about that angler coangler format. First off, what it means. The angler coangler format, basically, the angler is a guy that brought a boat. The coangler is a guy that didn't bring a boat. And they pair them together by a random computer draw. Now, that random computer draw is pretty cool because it really helps protect the integrity of the tournament circuit. I'm not going to say that you can't cheat in these type of tournaments. You can, but it's about 98% they're going to catch you. So I really like the angler coangler formats because it does help protect the integrity of the whole tournament circuit. It's a lot harder to cheat when you don't know the guy that you're paired with. So that's another one of the cool things about it. You may or may not know the guy that you're paired with. And that's kind of cool because, you can make a new friend that may live in your city. Maybe you don't know the guy, but he could live 150 miles away or maybe even across the country. And that's pretty cool because it gives you the opportunity to make a new friend. And I have made a lot of friends from doing these tournaments with the co-angler angler format. So I really dig it for that reason. The other cool thing about it is, since we have the anglers and co-anglers, all the anglers are competing against all the other anglers, and the co-anglers are competing against all the other co-anglers. So they're not competing against each other. So that helps eliminate some of the, maybe conflict that might be in the boat. Now, don't get me wrong. You're still competing against the fish together. But most of the time, guys will operate these tournaments like a team tournament. At least I do. And you try to work together to catch fish. And it just works out a lot better that way. The golden rule in this co-angler format is the golden rule everywhere. Do unto others as you would like done to you. If you can remember that, that'll help everything. So we talked about, as a co-angler, they didn't bring a boat. Well, that's not always the case that they don't own a boat. I have gone as a co-angler myself, most recently about 2 years ago. But if you're just starting out, even if you have a boat, I would definitely recommend going as a co-angler. One of the greatest anglers in the world, Scott Martin, he won generally everything that's available in FLW. He started his career as a co-angler. I can't remember if he did it. I know he did it for 1 year. I can't remember if he did it for 2. But he showed the world that, that's the way you need to start. You need to start and work your way up through a progression. And it's a lot easier to get your feet underneath you and understand how the whole system works if you start as a co-angler. You'll generally get paired with some people that may generally be a little bit more experienced and help guide you along. And any experience that you have with that will help you down the road if you want to be an angler. So even if you have a boat and you've never done one of these tournaments before, I would definitely recommend going as a co-angler. So as a co-angler, what should you expect? Well, there's a lot of different things we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is trying to condense your tackle. You don't want to be the guy that's bringing 25 rods and, a giant suitcase of a tackle box. It's just going to get in your way. It's going to confuse you. You're not going to, you're going to be fumbling through rods to try to find the one you want. A lot of times less is better. But you want to have everything that you need. So that's why I say condense. I don't want you to take one rod. You need to have, if it were me going as a co-angler, I like to have a minimum of 5 rods. you can switch from there. And 5 generally doesn't, it's not too bad to get in your way. And you can double up a rod. You know, sometimes you may not use a jerkbait and a topwater at the same time. So then just figure out that that one rod can do 2 different things. So condensing your tackle. That's one of the biggest things I can tell you, because it makes things a little easier. Now, you don't want to condense to the point that you look in your tackle box and say, oh man, I don't have my whatever, my rattle trap, my red rattle trap. You want to take that in consideration. A lot of times, if you have a pairing meeting, you can talk to your angler the night before and find out maybe what kind of baits he's going to throw, so that maybe you can condense your tackle. Now, a lot of these guys want to be real secretive because they're afraid you're going to tell your buddy. But if they've been around and they have confidence in what they're doing, a lot of times they'll tell you, well, I'm going to be flipping. I might throw a spinnerbait some. I might throw a buzzbait some. I might throw a crankbait a little. You don't want to get specific. You don't want to ask them, what color do I bring? All of that kind of stuff. That's your decision. So you want to make sure that you condense your tackle as much as you possibly can, but still have what you need. Let's face it. If you've got all this giant tackle and it's a big old box and you've got stuff in there for catfishing and crappie, you're not going to need that. You're not in a catfish or crappie tournament. You're in a bass tournament. So that's one way you can eliminate things. So whatever you can do to size it down, that's going to be the best approach. Now, that being said, I also think that a co-angler needs to be self-sufficient. It's a lot easier if you catch fish and you need pliers to have your own pliers, maybe on your hip or on your tackle box, whatever else. Now, most boaters will have those things available, but not always. You can't always count on that. So you want to try to be as self-sufficient as you can. Try to bring your own pliers. You may or may not think about a measuring board. I wouldn't recommend bringing a measuring board. That can be kind of cumbersome. And don't get me wrong, you could if you want, as long as you can stow it and keep it stored properly. You might want to think about bringing your own culling tags. You probably ought to think about bringing your own life jacket. Having your own life jacket can be huge. Some people may or may not like the inflatables. That's what I have. And if a guy gets in my boat and he says, oh, I don't want to use your inflatable, then what did you bring? As a boater, I like to have, a couple, at least 2, generally 3 life jackets in my boat. We'll talk about the boaters in a minute. But having your own life jacket can be a big plus. Having sunscreen, you can't count on a boater having sunscreen. Having your own drinks, your own lunch. Basically, you need to figure that you're going fishing by yourself, even though there's a guy, 15 to 20 feet away. You don't know what he's going to bring, so you need to bring what you're going to want. And still at the same time, being condensed. Some of these bags that we have now have so many different pockets in them that you can load sunblock, your keys, your fishing license, all of these different things in your tackle bag right there. Since we just mentioned fishing license, take into consideration, are you fishing on a body of water that, like here on the Ohio River, where we fish, most of us river rats will have a Kentucky license and an Indiana license. And if I fish a draw tournament on there, I kind of expect my co-angler to have those as well. It's not my job to decide where I'm not going to fish because he doesn't have a license. As a co-angler, you need to take that into consideration. And you can ask that at the pairing meeting if there is a meeting. Or you can call them if they do the text message services like BFL and Costa does. So make sure that you've got the proper licensing, because a boater's still going to go into where he wants to fish. And if you don't have that license, you're either going to take the chance of getting a ticket or you're just going to sit and watch. And I don't think you want to do either. So take the time to get yourself a license. So I think we've covered about everything we could think about as far as what to bring. Always bring a hat, if I haven't forgotten that. Sunglasses, things like that. Okay. Another thing you need to consider bringing is gas money. As a co-angler, you should consider, no, there's no consider, you should definitely offer your boater some gas money. Now, that being said, I don't think that you're responsible for half, because as a co-angler, you really don't have a decision on where you're going to fish. So from that standpoint, I think a co-angler should pay anywhere from $25 to $50 or $60 to their boater for gas money. And, you know, that's all relevant about how far you want to go, how good a guy he was to you, if we were fishing within a mile of the boat ramp, even still $25, man, you got to help the guy out a little bit. If it wasn't for him bringing a boat, you wouldn't be fishing. So to give him $25 is the least you can do. Now, not every boater is going to take it, and I kind of wish they would, because every boater should take a little bit of something, just to keep the system, in check. So a lot of boaters will probably argue with me that $60 isn't enough, but at the same time, it's not the co-angler's decision where you're going to fish. So if you wanted to make a 100-mile run that way, it shouldn't be on the co-angler to have to pay that money to make that run. That was your decision. So, like I said, $25 to $60 is plenty for gas money. So I think that pretty much covers it as far as the co-anglers goes, as far as what to bring. Now, as a co-angler, you want to have a discussion with your boater as far as how he wants to net fish. Myself, where I fish, a lot of times don't catch many fish over 4 pounds, so I swing almost everything. I'll swing fish up to 4 pounds, no problem. But I've seen some guys out there that net a 10-inch fish. And if the boater wants you to net his fish, you need to have that discussion beforehand. You need to figure out if he wants you to net every fish and how to get the net out and where it is and all that stuff. That'll help eliminate a lot of issue. I'll tell you, I generally, if I do want a net, a lot of times, depending on who I'm with, I might want to net them myself. It makes it a little bit more difficult, but I don't want to have to worry about the issue of having someone else knock my fish off with a net. Generally, and here's what I do as a boater. For a co-angler, I'll tell them, if I want you to net the fish, what I'll do is I'll bring it up. I don't want the net in the water or anything. I don't want you to make a stab scoop. I just want you to bring it in. I'll lay the fish on the side and you just reach under it and lift it up. Real simple. I don't like the stab scoop type things that the guys do. You run the risk of, knocking one off in the net. So I think we've talked about just about everything we can talk about from a non-boater standpoint. So now we need to talk about from a boater standpoint. Hopefully as a boater, you kind of understand the way the system works. You've got an idea how you want to launch the boat. You've taken into consideration the gas. You hopefully have had some time to get out and do a little practice. I think you're doing a real disservice to yourself and your co-angler if you don't get out and do any practice, unless you're really familiar with the lake. And there are those guys out there, I know a couple personally, that they never practice, man, and they always catch them. And that's a rare breed. And some of my best tournaments I've had little to no practice. But for those tournaments, I was also very familiar with the lake. If you're not familiar with the lake, you need to make sure that you can have some time to practice. Because if you don't, you're just hoping. And just hoping to catch them is not a good feeling. So the other thing that I like to think about with boaters, and Bass mandated this back when I was a marshal for the Elite Series, and I think it's such a great idea, If you're going to enter these tournaments in a co-angler angler format, you need to have at least one hatch, dry storage hatch, available for a co-angler to put his gear. Whatever he wants to put in there, whether it's his lunch, whether it's his wallet, his rain gear, his extra life jacket. Heck, some guys will want to put their tackle bag in that, which is great by me because that gives us more room in the floor of the boat. But you need to make sure that you've got that hatch available. The hatch behind my driver's seat in my boat stays open all the time, regardless. If my dad wants to go fishing with me and we're just fun fishing, he's got a place to put his stuff. If Joey wants to go fishing with me, whether we're going fun fishing or whether we're in a tournament, he's got a place to put his stuff. Whoever goes with me has a place to put their stuff. Now, granted, if I go by myself, sometimes like in the cold weather tournaments, that's a great place for me to put my extra clothes that hopefully I get to take off some layers, as the day warms up a little bit. But you need to make sure that you have a hatch available for your co-angler. We already talked about the gas money a little bit. Don't expect them to have to pay half if you're going to make a 100-mile run. Bottom line is, if you go in as a co-angler or go in as a boater, you should be figuring that these guys probably aren't going to give you anything. I like to think that they are. But, it's a lot of these guys are new to the system. A lot of them don't know to think about giving gas money. So don't demand it, that they pay half. I would ask a guy, it's hard for me. I'm kind of non-confrontational when it comes to money. Well, sometimes. My wife doesn't think so. But anyway, it's hard for me to go up to a guy and say, hey, you going to chip in on a little gas money? But I think we as boaters probably should, just to keep the system honest, because a lot of people don't know. And like my dad says, a lot of people don't know what they don't know until you tell them. So sometimes we need to go to the non-boaters and say, hey, how about chipping in a little bit of money for gas? I know it sounds like I'm harping about gas money, but I've seen a lot of people get upset about gas money. So another thing to consider as a boater, we just talked about how to net fish and how I do it. The co-angler may not be as experienced, and you may need to drop what you're doing to go back and net his fish if he needs it. He probably doesn't know how to swing fish or anything else. Now, granted, yes, that does take time away from you as a boater. And you're there for, your progression. He's there for his progression too. But generally the boaters are more experienced. They can take a little time to help their non-boaters out. It goes back to, like I said earlier, the golden rule. Do what you would want done to you. And if you can help these guys out, they're going to remember you. And, chances are, like I said earlier, you've made a good friend. So to me, and I know it's a very competitive sport. For me, yeah, I do like the competition, but I wasn't ultra conservative. Matter of fact, as I get older, my competitive spirit kind of dwindles. Don't get me wrong, I still get a little competitive with some of the younger guys at work, but I want to see everybody catch fish. That's kind of why I'm doing these videos. I want to help people as much as I possibly can anymore. So if you try to help people out a little bit, if you try to think about what they're going through and everything else, I think, like I said, you'll make more friends. And what I was getting to about this is, it is a competition, but it is also an opportunity to make some of the best friends you'll ever have in life. Some of the best friends I've ever made, I've met from fishing. Some really valued people. And, that's kind of what life is all about. Fishing is great. Fishing is fun. But it's how we interact with each other that makes life special. So, yeah, here I am getting a little mushy, a little lightheaded. No, not lightheaded, but whatever. Anyway, that's about all for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I've got some Dale Hollow footage. I'm trying to piece it together. It's not what I expected it would be. And to be honest with you, it was my first attempt. But I think we can still piece together something pretty cool for you. It's going to take me a while to get that together. But we will be working on that here in the next few days and hopefully have something out for you. I don't know if by the end of the week, but at least by next week. So again, thanks for tuning in and look forward to seeing you on the water.